March 15th dawned clear and cold in Seoul. The Empire had decorated the city for their anniversary celebration. Giant screens showed images of Arquesian ships arriving on Earth 50 years ago. The official story called it the Day of Unity. The people called it the Day of Chains and Whispers. Junho watched the preparations from the window of a small apartment near the communications hub. In the 3 days since their escape from the tunnels, the resistance had worked without rest. Messages had gone to their contacts at all 7 nodes around the world. Equipment had been distributed. The plan had changed, but their goal remained the same. "Are we ready?" Dr. Ji-young asked, joining him at the window. "As ready as we can be," Junho replied. "New York, London, and Moscow are confirmed. Cairo team is in position but has equipment problems. Rio and Sydney were delayed but should be ready by the broadcast time." "And here?" "We have the strongest team. Yunha is already inside the hub as a worker. 15 others are in position around the building." Dr. Ji-young nodded. "The broadcast must start exactly at 3:47 p.m. "Why that specific time?" Junho asked. 3:47. "Matches the frequency. 1.47386 GHz. It's a small thing, but it might help strengthen the signal's effect." Junho checked his watch. 7 hours to go. Across the city, Security Director Do-hyun reviewed the day's security plans with his team. The information from the captured rebels indicated their attack would come on April 22nd, but Do-hyun was not taking chances. "Double the guards at all sensitive locations," he ordered. "Random scans throughout the city. Any unusual signals? Any disruptions? I want to know immediately." "Sir," one of his officers said, "we're detecting some unusual energy. Signatures in several cities worldwide." Do-hyun frowned. "Show me." A map appeared on the screen. Small anomalies were appearing in New York, London, Moscow, Cairo, Rio de Janeiro, and Sydney. And in Seoul. A cold feeling settled in Do-hyun's stomach. "These are the locations of our primary nodes." He suddenly understood. "It's happening today, not April 22nd, today." He turned to his communications officer. "Shut down all networks, now." But the order couldn't be sent fast enough. Deep beneath the surface of Proxima B, Ji-woo and Sun-woo had discovered something unexpected. The tunnels they had escaped into led to a massive cavern filled with the special mineral. The entire chamber glowed with a faint blue light. "It's incredible," Sun-woo whispered. "I've never seen so much in one place." Ji-woo walked to the center of the cavern. "This is perfect. The mineral will amplify our signal beyond anything we could have hoped for." They set up the transmitter in the middle of the cavern. Ji-woo checked the time on the device she had built from mining equipment parts. "Almost time," she said. "The Earth celebration of the Empire's arrival starts soon. That's when they'll broadcast from the 7 nodes." "Will it work?" Sun-woo asked. "Will it free everyone?" Ji-woo looked at him. "It has to." At 3:45 p.m. in Seoul, Junho and a small team approached the communications hub. They wore worker uniforms with fake identity badges Dr. Ji-young had created. Inside, Yuna and other resistance members were already in position. Security was heavier than expected. Guards checked everyone entering the building. Junho showed his fake badge. The guard looked at it closely, then at Junho's face. "Wait," the guard said. "This doesn't—" Yunha appeared behind the guard. "There you are, I've been waiting for you." She turned to the guard. "He's with me. Director Kang needs these reports immediately." The guard hesitated, then nodded. Junho entered the building with Yunha. "Security is increased everywhere," she whispered as they walked toward the central control room. "Do-hyun must suspect something." "We have no choice but to continue," Junho said. "Is the device in place?" "Yes. Below the main control room. It will broadcast directly into their primary systems." At 3:46 p.m., alarms began to sound throughout the building. A voice came over the speakers. "Security alert. Unauthorized access. Detected. All workers return to stations for identity verification." "They know," Yuna said. Junho checked his watch. 1 minute to broadcast. We need to hold them off just for that long." Around the world, similar scenes were playing out. In New York, the resistance team fought their way into the control center. In London, they were already inside, ready to activate their device. In Moscow, they broadcast from a building next to the node. In Cairo, they worked to fix their equipment as guards approached. In Rio and Sydney, teams rushed to reach their positions in time. On Proxima B, Jiwoo activated the transmitter. The minerals around the cavern began to glow brighter. The transmitter hummed with power. "It's working," she said. "The signal is stronger than I ever imagined." In Seoul, Yoonho and Yoonha reached the control room door. Guards were coming from both directions of the hallway. "Go," Yoonha said. "Activate the device. I'll hold them here." "Yoonha, go," she insisted, pulling out a small weapon. "This is what we've fought for." Junho ran into the control room. Workers with silver-ringed eyes turned to look at him. He reached under a console and found the hidden device. The clock on his watch changed to 3:47 p.m. He pressed the button. At that exact moment, 7 transmitters on Earth and 1 on Proxima B activated. The signal spread through the Empire's quantum network faster than their systems could respond. Across the planet, humans with neural implants suddenly froze. For 17 seconds, nothing happened. Then, like a wave spreading across the world, people began to remove their neural interfaces. The silver rings around their eyes faded away. The signal had severed the quantum entanglement that made the Empire's technology work. Without their network, the Empire's weapons failed. Their ships lost power and drifted in orbit. In the communications hub, the workers in the control room stood still, then began to blink and look around in confusion. The silver rings around their eyes were gone. They were free. The guards in the hallway dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees, overwhelmed by sudden freedom. Others tore at their uniforms, removing all signs of the Empire. Screens throughout the city flickered to life, no longer showing Empire propaganda but displaying a simple message that was being broadcast worldwide. "This is Jiwoo Kim, we are free. The signal cannot be reversed. Humanity has returned." Security Director Do-hyun sat alone in his office. The silver ring around his eyes flickered and died. He put his hands to his head and screamed as years of suppressed memories and emotions flooded back. Outside, people filled the streets. Some cried, some laughed. Many embraced strangers, united in their newfound freedom. Empire ships fell from the sky, crashing into unpopulated areas as their power failed. On Proxima B and every other colony world, the same liberation occurred. Miners threw down their tools. Guards stood confused as their weapons and control systems failed. Jiwoo and Sunwoo emerged from the tunnels to find the mining colony in a state of joyful chaos. Former guards and workers embraced as equals, all free from the Empire's control. "You did it," Sunwoo told Jiwoo. "You freed everyone." Jiwoo looked up at the stars visible through the colony's dome. "We all did it. Now we need to find a way home." 1 year later, Jiwoo returned to Earth on the first ship bringing colonists home. When she stepped onto Korean soil, thousands of people were waiting. Junho pushed through the crowd and embraced her. "Welcome home," he said. "They're calling it Liberation Day. Your message changed everything." Jiwoo looked around at the rebuilt city. The Empire's towers were gone, replaced by human architecture. People walked freely, their eyes clear and bright. "What happened to the Archesians?" she asked. "Without their technology, they had no power over us," Junho explained. "Some left in the few ships that still worked. Others asked for asylum. They're learning to live as equals, not rulers." As they walked through the streets of the free city, Jiwoo saw a group of children playing. None of them would ever know the Empire's control. None would ever wear the silver ring. "Did you ever believe we would succeed?" Junho asked. Jiwoo smiled. "Science taught me something they never understood. Every system has a weakness. Find it and even the strongest empire falls." Above them, the night sky filled with stars no longer represented Empire control, but the future of free humanity. The Mai girl they had tried to silence had spoken, and her voice had changed the world. Security Director Do Yun stood at the window of his office looking out over Seoul. The city lights glowed below him. From up here, everything seemed peaceful. But he knew better. "Show me the reports again," he ordered. His assistant brought up the data on a large screen. Small red dots appeared across a map of the city. Each dot represented a moment when their control network had experienced a brief disruption. "The pattern is becoming clearer, sir," the assistant said. "The disruptions are increasing. And they're happening in other cities too." Do Hyun frowned. "These aren't random glitches. Someone is testing our system." He zoomed in on one area of the map. "What's here, under the old city center?" "Old subway tunnels, sir. Abandoned decades ago." "Not abandoned anymore, I think." Do Hyun turned to his security team. "Prepare for a sweep. Start with these tunnels. Use the new scanners. Find whatever is causing these disruptions." In the subway station beneath the city, Junho and the resistance leaders were having an urgent meeting. One of their lookouts had just returned with bad news. "They're bringing in new scanning equipment," the lookout reported. "Military grade. They can detect our devices from a distance." "How long do we have?" Hyunki asked. "Days. Maybe less." Junho looked at the map spread out on the table. "We need to move now. Gather everyone. Take only what's essential." The resistance began packing quickly. They had prepared for this moment. Multiple safe houses were ready across the city. As they worked, Min Seo approached Junho. "The teams for the other nodes are ready. New York and London groups are in position. Moscow team leaves tomorrow. Rio and Sydney are waiting for their equipment. Cairo team needs another week." "We may not have a week," Junho replied. "We might need to move faster than planned." Dr. Ji-young joined them, her face worried. "The original plan was to broadcast on April 22nd. That's still 2 weeks away." "Can we do it sooner?" Junho asked. "Possibly," Dr. Ji-young said. "But we need precise timing. All 7 nodes must receive the signal within seconds of each other." Just then, alarms sounded at the tunnel entrance. A voice came over their communication system. "Empire guards. At least 20. With scanning equipment. They're coming down the east tunnel." "Everyone out, west tunnels," Junho shouted. "Move to safe houses as planned." The resistance members grabbed their equipment and fled through the dark tunnels. Hyunki and a few others stayed behind to delay the guards and destroy anything left behind. Hours later, Junho sat in a small apartment that served as one of their safe houses. 30 resistance members had made it here. Others had gone to different locations across the city. "Any word from Hyunki?" he asked when Yuna arrived. Her face was grim. "He and his team got caught. They destroyed most of our remaining equipment before the guards took them." "And Min Seo?" Junho asked, fearing the answer. "Captured during the escape, along with 5 others." Junho closed his eyes for a moment. His friends were now in Empire hands. He knew what would happen next. Interrogation, then recalibration, a process that destroyed the mind while leaving the body functional. "We need to accelerate our timeline," he decided. "Contact all teams. We can't wait for April 22nd. "When then?" Dr. Ji-young asked. Junho thought for a moment. "The Empire anniversary, March 15th. The day they first arrived on Earth 50 years ago, in 3 days." "That's very soon," Dr. Ji-young warned. "Some teams aren't ready." "They'll have to be," Junho said. "The Empire will be focused on their celebration. Their security will be spread thin, and after what happened today, they'll expect us to lay low, not to attack." On Proxima B, Jiwoo and Sunwoo were working deep in the mine. Over the past weeks, they had collected enough of the special mineral to build a powerful signal amplifier. Jiwoo's transmitter was ready, but their activities had not gone unnoticed. One of the guards had seen Jiwoo take a small piece of equipment from a broken mining machine. He reported it to his superior. That evening, guards entered the workers' sleeping area. They went straight to Jiwoo's bed and began searching through her few possessions. "Worker JK-1192, the lead guard said. "You are suspected of theft and unauthorized activities." Jiwoo stood still, her face blank as expected of a controlled worker. Inside, her mind raced. The transmitter was hidden in a secret place, but they would find the minerals she had collected. The guards found the minerals hidden in her mattress. "What are these for?" the guard demanded. Jiwoo didn't answer. Workers were not supposed to speak unless directly ordered to. "Take her for recalibration," the guard ordered. "Tomorrow morning." Recalibration was what happened to workers who showed signs of breaking free from control. Few survived with their minds intact. Those who did became empty shells, barely able to follow simple commands. As the guards left, Sunwoo caught Jiwoo's eye. A silent message passed between them. They had to act tonight. Back on Earth, Security Director Do-hyun interrogated Min Seo. The resistance member sat in a bare room strapped to a chair. His neural implant had been reactivated, but Do-hyun knew that these rebels had ways to fight the control. "Tell me about your group," Do-hyun demanded. "How many are you? Where are they hiding?" Min Seo struggled against the implant's control. For brief moments he could resist. "We are everywhere," he managed to say. Do-hyun signaled to a technician who adjusted the implant settings. Min Seo's body stiffened in pain. "When are you planning to act?" Do-hyun asked. "What is your target date?" Min Seo fought harder than he ever had. He knew he couldn't resist much longer. Soon he would tell them everything, so he made a decision he would tell them something, but not the truth. "April 22nd, he gasped. "Jiwoo's birthday." Do-hyun smiled coldly. "And what is significant about this date? What are you planning?" "Global broadcast," Min Seo said before his strength failed and the implant took full control again. Do-hyun left the interrogation room satisfied. He now knew the rebels' plan. April 22nd. Plenty of time to prepare. He would focus security on the 7 main nodes on that date. The rebellion would be crushed before it could even begin. On Proxima B, late that night, a massive explosion rocked the mining facility. A secondary power generator had mysteriously exploded, causing an emergency lockdown. Guards rushed to contain the damage. In the chaos, Sunwoo helped Jiwoo slip away. "This way," he whispered, leading her down rarely used tunnels. "I found these months ago. They go deep under the colony." As alarms blared above them, they descended into darkness. Jiwoo carried her transmitter, Sunwoo a bag of the special minerals. They had one chance to escape, and one chance to help free humanity. "Will your friends on Earth be ready?" Sunwoo asked as they crawled through a narrow passage. "They'll be ready," Jiwoo replied, hoping it was true. "And when they broadcast the signal, the Empire will fall." Behind them, they could hear guards entering the tunnels, beginning their search. Ahead lay the unknown. But for the first time since her capture, Jiwoo felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. 6 months had passed since Jiwoo was taken. The old subway station beneath Seoul had changed. What once was empty now buzzed with quiet activity. 20 people worked on different tasks. Some built small devices. Others planned missions. All had the same goal: freedom from the Empire. Junho walked through the station, checking on their progress. The resistance had grown. They now had 87 members. Most lived normal lives above ground, pretending to be under Empire control. But down here they were free. Their disruption device had improved. It now worked for 5 minutes instead of 30 seconds. Its range could cover a small room. Each time they used it, they freed more people from Empire control. "Junho, come quickly," Min Seo called from their communication area. "We intercepted an Empire message. They're bringing in a senior scientist for some special project." Junho read the message on the screen. "Dr. Ji-young," he said. "Coming to Seoul tomorrow." Hyunki joined them, looking at the message. She's one of their top researchers, works directly with the Archesians on neural implant technology. "If we could free her even briefly," Min Seo started. "We could learn how their whole system works," Junho finished. "We need to try." The next day, a small team from the resistance followed Dr. Ji-young. She visited the main research facility, then went to a small cafe for lunch. She sat alone, her face blank, the silver ring bright around her eyes. Junho and Yunha entered the cafe. They sat at a table near Dr. Ji-young. Under the table, Junho held the disruption device. He turned it on. Dr. Ji-young stopped eating. Her hand froze halfway to her mouth. She blinked several times. The silver ring around her eyes flickered and faded. She looked around, confused. Yuna moved quickly to her table. Dr. Ji-young, she said quietly, "We don't have much time. We've temporarily disabled your neural implant." Dr. Ji-young stared at them. "How is this possible?" "We found a frequency that disrupts the Empire's control," Junho explained. "But it only works for a few minutes." Understanding filled Dr. Ji-young's eyes. "The quantum entanglement network. You found a way to break the connection." "Quantum entanglement?" Junho asked. "It's how they control everything," Dr. Ji-young said quickly. "The neural implants are connected to their main system through quantum entanglement. 7 primary nodes around the world maintain the network. If all 7 receive the disruptive frequency at once, the entire system might collapse." "Where are these nodes?" Yuna asked. "Seoul, New York, London, Moscow, Cairo, Rio de Janeiro, and Sydney," Dr. Ji-young replied. "But listen carefully." The silver ring around her eyes began to return. She grabbed Junho's hand. "Find me tonight. East River Apartments, Unit 712. Then her eyes went blank again and she returned to her food as if nothing had happened. Junho and Yunha left quickly. That night, they went to Dr. Ji-young's apartment. They found her sitting still, staring at the wall. Junho used the device again. As soon as the silver ring faded, Dr. Ji-young spoke rapidly. "I've been fighting the implant for years. I built a hidden switch into mine. I can turn it off for short periods without your device." She went to a drawer and pulled out data chips. "Everything I know about their system is here. Take it." She handed the chips to Junho. "Now go, I'll join you when I can." "How will you find us?" Yuna asked. Dr. Ji-young smiled. "I put trackers on both of you when we met. I was a scientist before the Empire came. I'm still a scientist now." That night, Dr. Ji-young disappeared from her apartment. The Empire sent guards to find her, but she was already in the subway tunnels with the resistance. With Dr. Ji-young's help, they began to understand how the Empire's technology really worked. They made plans to contact resistance groups in other cities. If they could reach all 7 nodes at once, they might break the Empire's control over everyone. Meanwhile, on Proxima B, Jiwoo had been working with the special minerals she found in the mine. During brief moments when her mind was clear, she collected small pieces and hid them in her sleeping area. Over months, she built a crude but powerful transmitter from parts she stole from mining equipment. The special minerals amplified signals in ways the Empire didn't understand. One day, during a scheduled system maintenance when the guards expected brief communication disruptions, Jiwoo activated her transmitter. She sent a single pulse aimed at Earth. At that exact moment, in the resistance base beneath Seoul, their equipment picked up a strange signal. "What is this?" Junho asked, looking at the screen. Dr. Ji-young checked the readings. "It's coming from Proxima B. Someone is sending us a message." The message contained data about the Empire's technology. It showed a fundamental flaw in their quantum network. If disrupted at exactly the right frequency and timing, it would cause a cascading failure. The entire system would collapse. At the end of the message were coordinates and a simple request. "Broadcast on my birthday, all channels full strength." Junho stared at the screen. "It's from Jiwoo. She's alive." "How do you know?" Minseo asked. "Her birthday. April 22nd. She wants us to broadcast the signal on that day." Dr. Ji-young studied the data. "This is remarkable. She found something we never could have discovered from Earth. The Empire's mining operations exposed a weakness in their technology." "So, we wait until April 22nd? Hyunki asked. "We prepare," Junho said. "We need to reach all 7 nodes around the world. We need more disruptor devices, and we need to be ready for what comes after." The resistance worked harder than ever. They built new devices and sent members to cities around the world. They made contact with other resistance groups. Slowly, a global network formed, hidden beneath the Empire's watchful eyes. On Proxima, Jiwu continued her secret work. After sending the message to Earth, she became more careful. She knew the guards would be watching for unusual activity. She found an ally in another miner named Sunwoo. Like Jiwu, Sunwoo sometimes had moments of clarity when working near the special minerals. During one of these moments, they made eye contact, and Jiwu saw understanding in his eyes. "You're awake too," Sunwoo whispered, when the guards weren't looking. "Yes," Jiwu replied quietly. "The minerals block their control. I've noticed you collecting them," Sunwoo said. "I've been doing the same." Together, they gathered more minerals and improved Jiwu's transmitter. Jiwu explained her plan to Sunwoo. If they broadcast the right frequency from Earth, it could free everyone, she said. "How will we know when it happens?" Sunwoo asked. "We'll know," Jiwu replied. "Everything will change." As April approached on Earth, the resistance grew stronger. They now had contacts near every one of the 7 nodes. They had improved disruptor devices ready for transport. The plan was set, but the Empire was not blind. They had noticed unusual patterns, small disruptions in their network, missing equipment, workers acting strange for brief moments. Commander Do-hyun, now promoted to security director for the Asian sector, began a systematic investigation. He deployed new scanners that could detect unauthorized communications. The resistance was running out of time. The Empire was closing in, and on. Proxima Jiwu was preparing for the moment that would decide the fate of humanity. Yoonho Lee sat alone in his small room at the workers' housing block. The message from Jiwu glowed on his hidden communicator. He read it again. "They found me. The frequency is 1.47386 GHz. Remember our promise." His hands shook. Junho was 22, tall and thin with careful eyes that noticed details others missed. On his neck was a small scar where his neural implant had been placed 2 years ago. But Junho's implant was different. He had modified it secretly, allowing him to think freely while appearing to be under Empire control. As a maintenance technician at the Seoul Communications Hub, Junho had access to Empire technology. He fixed their systems when they broke down. The Archesians thought he was just another controlled human worker. They never looked closely at the quiet technician who kept his head down and did his job. Junho and Jiwoo had been friends since childhood. Their parents had worked together before Jiwoo's disappeared. 3 years ago, they had made a promise to each other. If one of them found a way to fight the Empire, the other would help carry on the fight. Now Jiwoo had found something important, and she had been caught. Junho deleted the message and hid the communicator under a loose floorboard. He knew what he had to do, even if it meant risking everything. The next morning, Junho went to work as usual. The communications hub was a massive tower in the center of Seoul. Inside, rows of human technicians with silver-ringed eyes monitored equipment. Archesian supervisors moved among them, their tall, thin bodies and 6-fingered hands marking them as different from the humans they controlled. Junho checked the worker assignment board. There was a new name. Worker, JK1192, scheduled for transport, to Proxima Jiwoo's new designation. The transport would leave that evening. During his lunch break, Junho visited the medical ward. His friend Minseo worked there as a doctor. Like Junho, Minseo had found a way to modify his neural implant. They spoke in whispers in a supply closet. "They got Jiwoo," Junho said. "She found a frequency that can disrupt their network." Minseo's eyes widened. "Are you certain? That could change everything." "She sent me the frequency before they took her. 1.47386 GHz. They're sending her to the mining colony tonight." Minseo thought for a moment. "We need help. I know 2 others who might join us. Hyunki from engineering and Yunha from data processing. Both have modified implants. Can you trust them?" Junho asked. Yunha's sister was taken for special integration last year. She never came back. And Hyunki was military before the Empire came. He knows how to fight. That night, while Jiwoo was being loaded onto a transport ship bound for Proxima B, Junho met with Minseo, Hyunki, and Eunha in an abandoned subway station beneath Old Seoul. The tunnels had been closed for years, forgotten by the Empire. Hyunki was a large man with strong hands and a serious face. Eunha was small and quiet, but her eyes showed a sharp intelligence. They all listened carefully as Junho explained about the frequency. "If this works," Junho said, "we could disrupt their control, even if just for a short time." "We need to build a device to broadcast the frequency," Hyunki said. "I can design it, but we'll need parts." "I can get components from the medical ward," Minseo offered. "And I can access the hub's storage rooms," Junho added. Eunha spoke softly. "We need to test it first, see if it really works." Over the next few weeks, they gathered parts and built a small broadcasting device. Hyunki designed it to look like standard Empire technology, so they could carry it without raising suspicion. The device was ready, but they needed to test it. "We need a test subject," Minseo said. "Someone with an implant." They found their subject in Taiho, a low-level Empire official who processed worker assignments. Every day, Taiho walked home alone through a quiet part of the city. One evening, Junho and Hyunki waited for him there. As Taiho passed by, Junho activated the device. It made a soft humming sound as it broadcast the frequency. Taiho stopped walking suddenly. He put his hands to his head and made a strange gasping sound. Then he turned around, his eyes wide and scared. The silver ring around his iris flickered and faded. "What's happening?" Taiho asked, his voice shaking. It was the voice of a real person, not the flat tone of someone under Empire control. "I can think. I can feel again." "We're helping you," Junho said quickly. "The Empire controls you through your neural implant. We've disrupted it temporarily." Taiho looked terrified. "I remember everything. What they made me do. All those people I processed for punishment." Before they could say more, the silver ring around Taiho's eyes returned. His face became blank again. He blinked several times, then continued walking, as if nothing had happened. "It worked," Junho whispered excitedly. "But only for about 30 seconds. "It's a start," Hyunki said. "We can improve it." Meanwhile, on the mining colony of Proxima B, Jiwoo worked in the dark tunnels deep beneath. The planet's surface every day was the same. Wake up, eat the bland food provided. Work for 12 hours digging for rare minerals the Empire needed. Return to the cramped sleeping quarters. No talking allowed. No thinking allowed. But sometimes when Jiwoo's mining team went deep into certain tunnels, strange things happened. The silver ring around her eyes would flicker. For brief moments, her mind would clear. She would remember who she really was. These tunnels contained unusual mineral deposits. Jiwoo began to realize that these minerals somehow interfered with the Empire's control signals. In those brief moments of clarity, she started to understand more about how the neural implants worked. One day, when her mind cleared briefly, Jiwoo noticed something important. The Empire guards avoided these tunnels. They sent controlled humans in instead. The minerals didn't just affect the implants, they affected all Empire technology. During another moment of clarity, Jiwoo managed to take a small piece of the mineral and hide it in her uniform. Back in her sleeping quarters, she held it close, to her head at night. It wasn't strong enough to completely block the implant's control, but it helped her think more clearly. Slowly, carefully, Jiwoo began to understand the true power of what she had discovered. The frequency she had found wasn't just a way to disrupt the Empire's communications, it could do much more. Combined with these minerals, it could potentially break the Empire's control completely. Back on Earth, the resistance group continued to improve their device. They extended its effect to last 5 minutes and increased its range. Each successful test brought more hope. They began to recruit others, carefully and secretly. People who once freed even briefly from Empire control chose to fight back. Their numbers grew slowly. 10, then 20, then 50 people, all working together in the abandoned subway tunnels. "We're not alone anymore," Junho told the group one night. "There must be others like us around the world." We need to find them. As he spoke, Junho thought of Jiwoo, working in the mines of a distant planet. He hoped she was still alive, still fighting in her own way. The Empire tried to silence her, he said, but her discovery has given us a voice, and someday we will make them hear it. Jiwoo Kim worked alone in her small apartment as rain tapped against the windows. The room was dark except for the blue glow of screens and the occasional flash of lightning. She was 19, small for her age, with short black hair and eyes that rarely missed anything. Her fingers moved quickly over the keyboard as lines of code filled the screen. Almost there, she whispered to herself. The computer made a soft beeping sound as her program finished running. 3 years ago, her parents had disappeared. They were brilliant engineers who worked on communication systems. One day, they simply did not come home. The government said there had been an accident, but Jiwoo knew better. Her parents had been working on something important, something the Archesian Empire did not want discovered. The Archesians had come to Earth 50 years ago. At first, they seemed friendly. They shared some of their technology and offered to help humans advance, but it was all a lie. Within months, they took control of every government on Earth. Their weapons were too powerful for humans to fight against. Their technology was too advanced. Soon, they ruled everything. Now every human had to get a neural implant when they turned 20. The Archesians said the implants helped humans think better and live longer. But Jiwoo knew the truth. The implants were control devices. They let the Archesians track every person and even control their thoughts and actions. Jiwoo would turn 20 in 2 months. She was running out of time. Her parents had been working on a way to fight back. Before they vanished, they had taught Jiwoo everything they knew. She had continued their work in secret, hidden in this tiny apartment in the oldest part of Seoul. The screen in front of her showed a series of numbers and a simple message. Frequency match found. 1.47386 GHz. Jiwoo sat back in her chair, her heart beating fast. This was it. This frequency could disrupt the Archesian control network. It could interfere with their communications and maybe even the neural implants. It was what her parents had been searching for. She reached for her notebook to write down the discovery when she heard a loud bang at her door. Open up, Imperial Security. Jiwoo froze. Her hands shook as she quickly pressed a button to encrypt her files. She grabbed a small device from her desk, a prototype communicator she had built that could send messages the Archesians couldn't track. The door burst open. 4 Imperial guards in their silver uniforms rushed in. Behind them stood Commander Do-yoon, his face cold and emotionless. Like all humans who worked directly for the Empire, he had the silver ring around his eyes that showed he had been fully integrated into their system. Jiwoo Kim, he said flatly, you are engaged in unauthorized research and communication. This is a Class 1 violation. I don't know what you're talking about, Jiwoo said, backing away. I'm just a student. Commander Do-yoon walked to her computer. A student who has accessed restricted technical information. A student who has built illegal communication devices. He looked around the apartment. Just like your parents. Jiwoo felt cold fear spread through her body. My parents died in an accident. Your parents were traitors who thought they could undermine the Empire. They were dealt with, and now it seems their daughter needs the same lesson. The guards began, smashing her equipment. Screens shattered, components crushed under their boots. Jiwoo watched in horror as years of work were destroyed in seconds. While the guards were busy, she quickly typed a message into her small communicator. They found me. The frequency is 1.47386 GHz. Remember our promise. She pressed send, and the message went to the one person she trusted, her childhood friend Junho, who now worked as a technician in the Empire's central communications facility. A guard grabbed her arms and pulled them behind her back. Jiwoo Kim, you are sentenced to immediate neural implantation and reassignment to the mining colony on Proxima. B. You can't do that, Jiwoo shouted, struggling against the guard's grip. I'm not 20 yet. The law says whatever the Empire decides it says. Commander Do-yoon interrupted. Dangerous elements like you require immediate integration. They dragged her from the apartment down the stairs and into a waiting transport vehicle. Through the window, Jiwoo could see the old city passing by, the ancient buildings now overshadowed by the towering Artesian structures that dominated the skyline. In the distance stood the central processing facility, where humans received their neural implants. The facility was a sterile white building. Inside, everything was clean and quiet. Jiwoo was taken to a small room and strapped to a chair that tilted backward until she was looking up at a complex machine hanging from the ceiling. A human doctor with the silver ring around his eyes approached her. "Do not resist," he said in a monotone voice. "Integration is for your benefit and the benefit of all humanity. Please," Jiwoo begged, "don't do this." The doctor did not respond to her plea. He activated the machine and a thin metal arm descended toward Jiwoo's head. "This will not hurt," the doctor said. "You will feel better afterward. You will understand the importance of order." Jiwoo closed her eyes. She thought of her parents, of their brave work against the Empire. She thought of Junho and hoped her message had reached him. Most of all, she thought of the frequency, 1.47386 GHz, and prayed that someone would use it to fight back. She felt a sharp pain at the base of her skull, and then a strange coldness spread through her mind. It was like a fog rolling in, covering her thoughts, muffling her feelings. She tried to hold on to who she was, to remember what mattered, but it was becoming harder with each second. When she opened her eyes again, they had changed. Around each dark iris was now a thin silver ring, the mark of Imperial control. "Integration complete," the doctor said, checking a screen beside him. "Subject is responsive to network signals." Commander Do-hyun entered the room and looked at Jiwoo. "Stand up," he ordered. Jiwoo found herself standing, even though she hadn't wanted to. Her body now responded to commands without her choice. "Your designation is now Worker JK-1192, Commander Do-hyun said. "You will be transported to Proxima B mining colony tomorrow. You will serve the Empire there." "I will serve the Empire," Jiwoo heard herself say in a flat voice that didn't sound like her own. But deep inside, in a tiny corner of her mind the implant hadn't quite reached. A spark of the real Jiwoo remained. As they led her to a holding cell, that tiny part of her repeated a single thought, over and over. 1.47386 GHz. Remember, 1.47386. Kurtzum, it was no longer just a frequency. It was hope. It was resistance. It was the key that might one day free humanity from the empire that had enslaved them. And somewhere across the city, Junho received her message.